It's all about writing up this beautiful and wonderful artistry from Miss Tammie Knight. And we're going to talk a little bit more with her. But right now, if you just turn yourself around here, you don't have to get up. She's standing in front of the exhibit. Marco did it. Okay. Rewind. It is now lit up. And my wonderful Tammie Knight, this is in honor of you and what you represent to the African American history and culture, as well as your artistry. So I just want everyone to take your picture right there. That's why I asked you to stand there. Then I'm going to have you to come up and join me in just a few minutes. Everybody, it's Tammie Knight. So now, this is a segment that, yes, briefly I told Tammie that I was going to do. I told her at the last minute, Tammie, come and join me up here. And so it has not been reversed. This is something that I like to do, you know, as a surprise. So, with me, my experience. First of all, I need to tell everyone how we actually met. And several months ago. And Tammie sent an email to the African American Museum and Library, not to me personally, to the institution. However, my library assistant, Marco Frazier, who we just met, he monitors that account. So when he saw it, he was so excited about what she had written, and also looking at some of the miniature galleries. He came directly to my office, and generally he just sends me an email and says, Vita, you got this, take a look at this, you need to take care of this. And he knows I get a lot of emails every day. But he comes in my office and he says, okay, I'm sending you an email that we got on apple.org. I said, I know. Library assistant Cindy, this is, she's getting ready to leave. She's part of Amwell's staff. Say hi, Cindy. And also she does the graphics as well. Thank you, Cindy. Woo. Yes. So he comes to my office, he says, I'm sending you, I'm forwarding you this report. I said, well, you do this every day, Marco. What's so special about today? He says, no, I want you to stop what you're doing, and you need to read this email, like, right away. So I said, okay, I'll do that because you asked me so politely. So I did. So when I started reading it, I said, Marco, come here for a second. When did you get this email? He says, we just got it. I said, okay. I'll take it from there. I was just stunned because I had never seen anything like this. And I know that we've had a lot of beautiful exhibitions here, but nothing like this. We opened in 2002 here in February. I came here in October of 2002. So I've been here a while. And when I say I have never seen anything like yes. So I said immediately, I need to contact her. So as all of you probably know, and some of you don't know, if you know her, she's very efficient. So she didn't wait like a week to get back to me, or even a couple of days. She got back to me. She saw my email and she says, oh, thank you, because I'm glad that you're interested. I said, not only am I interested, I want to do this. And she says, what? And so that's how it all started. started. So now we have a beautiful relationship. It's been a journey. So Tammie, I know we're going to talk about the miniatures, but I want you to just kind of share with us, how did you begin to think that I want to do this? I really want to do it. When did that come from?
Wow. Well, miniatures have been a part of my life since I was about 9, so that wasn't new to me. And as my children can attest, I have had multiple projects going for decades. I don't think my children have known not having a project in the house. That was just sort of the way it was. But the idea of pushing it beyond just my love of it started about 6 or 7 years ago when I thought, if it's going to be elevated, it has to be an experience that is not just me creating things and showing them to people. It has to be a partnership. It has to involve someone else's work. And I thought, well, anything can be miniature. And that's when the idea, not necessarily specifically of the galleries, but I started reaching out to people to create replicas of the fronts of their homes or specific spaces that they loved, that they wanted to see in miniature. But the idea of the gallery was sparked, and it's a joke that Adrian and I have between us. 3 of the galleries here are representative of Adrian's work because I think he's incredible and because we're friends. And we like to take credit for the idea, but frankly it was his wife's idea because it was shortly before the pandemic, and Adrian is a prolific photographer who gets a lot of attention and a lot of traction. And he had this problem, which was that people wanted to see his work in galleries, but more galleries than he could spread himself out into. And his wife jokingly said, well, you should just have Tammie make a miniature, and you could ship it around. So we laughed about that, and that sort of actually sparked the idea that you could have someone's work that's life-size, but put it in this really fun, cool, small environment and make it accessible, and that it could go anywhere. It could be online, it could also be in a museum, it could be in a library, it could be in someone's home, it could be anywhere. And I got really excited about that. So the partnership with Adrian sparked the idea that maybe if I start reaching out to other photographers, because photography is such a passion of mine, and I always wanted to be better at it, but I'm like, okay, I can find lots of people that are better at it than I am. I do the miniature part, I just need the photographers. And that just got me excited about these partnerships and these relationships, and it grew from there.
But you mentioned about being the age of 9. Okay, so were there were there like doll houses that you had when you were growing up at 9 years old?
I did. I had a dollhouse around 9 that my dad had fashioned because I was always getting in his way. My father is a craftsman, and he used to build things, and I got hurt by trying to be in his way. I still have a scar on my knee. And my mother's like, well, maybe if she had a dollhouse, she'd get out of your way. And it worked. But one of my favorite places to go was the Museum of the City of New York. They had 3 schools, they still have 3 floors, but the top floor was dollhouses and miniatures. And my mom took me there one day, and I lost my mind. I think it was probably about 11, and I thought, how can there be a place that has this? And there's a lot of it. And it just sort of felt like something that I wanted to do, but my mother said that by the time I was 12, she knew that I wasn't putting it down. It wasn't playing with the dollhouse, it was designing the space. It was asking her for pieces of fabric and creating sheets for the beds. And it was getting rubber stamps and creating wallpaper for the walls. It was designing the space. And I wasn't as interested in the dolls as I was in the space.
Space. So, I mean, so did you take these classes as you got older in designing, or?
Not until Parsons. So not until college. I mean, I was self-taught. I read books, and at the time it wasn't a video world, it was a book world, right? So I'd go to a library, or my mother would buy a magazine, or I'd go to an event and get a brochure, and I just wanted to learn this craft, but there wasn't a formal training for it. So it wasn't until Parsons when I started taking design courses, but none of those courses were specifically architectural design, they were just design. And I decided that I needed to figure out how to build what I wanted. So I figured it out.
So we started at 9, and we were going up the ladder now here. So now, what about when you made your first that experience? I mean, was it difficult for you to concentrate, or could you focus on? I mean, like when I'm doing an exhibition, my problem is to focus on one thing at a time instead of being everywhere. So what about you? Were you creating your first one, which was,
Premier
gallery? I know I'm almost as well as you.
I know you did.
Yes.
I think, to be honest, the gallery grows from the work. And I know that sounds like overly simplifying it, but if I fall in love with the work, then I start to think about what the space is going to look like, not the opposite. Like, I don't build a space and fill it with people's photographs. I start with the photographs and I see what they feel like to me. So I knew that this first gallery was going to be a premier gallery, and I didn't want it to be huge. I wanted it to be portable, and I wanted it to represent both Adrian's portrait work and We Matter is a big deal. It's a highly critically acclaimed exhibition and really important work in the Black community. So for me it was, well, what do I want the space to look like? And because I don't do a ton of sketching, we have some sketches over there, and I've talked about that's not my jam, I don't sketch a lot. So I basically kind of sit around and think about what is the space, what do I need to fit into the space, and what's the space going to hold? But this weird thing that I do is I imagine I'm walking around in space. So even though it's miniature, for me, it's just a small space that I need to figure out how to work through. So where do I want things to be? Where do I want people to pause? Where would there be a desk? Where would there be a laptop? So that's the process.
Well, I kind of like when you left the other day, so I'm in with my magnifying glass, I'm trying to see, I wonder how is she able to just place these and these different areas, and looking through my magnifying glass. So I'm looking at it, and so I said, oh, okay, I see that. So I was really overwhelmed and started getting into space myself, wanting to get into that space as well.
Yeah.
So, okay, so I want to circle back a little bit. I want to know, what does Tammie Knight do for leisure when she's not working on the galleries? What do you like to do? Do you like to roller skate or
It's all a lot harder now at this age, so no more roller skating.
Or ice skate or whatever.
None of that either,
Yeah, tell me, what do you like to do? What other miniatures?
Well, I recently rediscovered my love of painting, and just like, I used to make models, and I don't really make models anymore. All my model making is miniature making. But I have a private collection of miniature paintings. I know it's miniature related, but I don't show them. They're not for public eye. My daughter has seen a few of them many years ago. I'm sure my son saw some of them too. But I don't do a lot of, I like to walk. I love nature. I like to dance. My kids make fun of it because I dance like a mom, I think. But I'm working on that.
So you're working on that?
I'm working on
that.
that.
Help too? Yeah.
I do.
Does she need help?
A little bit, yeah. They're being
Does she
kind.
need help?
They're being kind. They're like, we still have to deal with her, so they're not gonna say it.
Yeah.
But it's a funny thing to say, but my life is my family, my miniatures, and food.
And food.
I love food. I love to eat. I used to love to bake. I don't have the patience anymore, so I'd rather have someone bake it for me or feed me.
And what's your favorite cuisine?
Oh gosh.
Oh, you have a lot of favorites.
I do. I love French, Italian. I love Greek. I love Persian. I love North African. I love food.
Great. Well, you know what? I guess I spent a little time getting into your personal business. So I got a whole lot of questions, but you and I will get together anyway later. But right now, would you like for us to show the video?
Let's show the video.
Is that really cool? I think we should show it too. So Marco, can you get us set up while I'm kind of chit-chatting a little bit more with Tammie? So now, okay, was the video fun to do, or?
So the video was interesting in that the person that compiled it for me is not local. He lives in Texas and Maryland, and he comes to the Bay Area a couple times a year. And we met when I was working on a project. We met online. And when I told him the idea of this video, he got really excited. So it was us thinking of how to make still photos into a video, and that's his genius. So it was fun. It was fun giving him way too many photos and having him email me at 1 a.m. and saying, you know that there are like 650 photos here. And he said,
I know that feeling. That's what it can be. Oh, you wanted some photos? And then my email was like,
here are all the photos.
and they were all beautiful. And I looked at every last one.
Oh, I believe you. I know.
I just couldn't put them in the exhibit though. Yeah, my director would have said, Vito, what are you doing? But I enjoyed looking at all 600. I want you to know that.
Yeah.
I know it.
So same, he said, well, they're great, and I'm gonna go through them, and it'll take me a day or so to come back. I was like, okay. So he did that. And then he and I, we were very in sync about what we wanted the experience to be, and it was really important, and you and I talked about this, to focus on not just the miniatures, but the artists, the photographers, right? Because the photographs are incredible.
Yes,
And that's what inspired me. It wasn't just, oh, I want to make miniature galleries with photographs in it. I could do that with my own photographs. They're not great, but they're decent, and I could just put them in a gallery. But it was about building community with people that do this, and some who are really well known and make a really good living, and some who are emerging and trying to figure out what they want to do with their work and where they want to show it. And it was exciting to have people interested in collaborating with me. That was really cool.
So yes, I call them Tammie and friends.
I like that.
Yes, because you develop some kind of relationship with them as your project develops. Okay, so Margot, we're still working?
Just doing an update this out.
Oh, okay, well that happens, that's good technology.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll keep talking.
We'll keep talking. So, okay, so now, with me, for instance, I don't want to get that part away. I'm gonna go back, okay, because I'm gonna already talk about that. I was looking at one of the galleries that we did, and I saw that you were really into it because every little thing, for instance, of the pencil, which was of the pad, and so the other day I was watching you when you were placing these items in one of the galleries, and you and I are talking, and you said to me, "Oh, Vita," and I thought something was wrong with you, and you said, I said, "What's wrong?" I said, "What's wrong?" You said, "Something's missing." So I'm looking at this beautiful mass of things that are in here, and I said, "Wait a minute, you know that something's missing?" She says, "Yes, I do." She says, "The pencil is missing. The pencil next to the pad." And I said, wait a minute. So I put my glasses on. That didn't do any good. Okay, I couldn't find the pad. So, I'm thinking I need my magnifying glass. So I said, "Tammie, you said a pencil's missing." "Well, don't show me, Tammie. Don't show me. I'll find it." "No way. I could not find the pencil." Tammie says, "Vita, here is the pencil." Now, and I'm not exaggerating. I said, "Where, the pencil?" She's holding the pencil, but I can't see it. The pencil, she said,
The
"You
one
see,
that happened in- yeah.
it's about a half an inch. It's not even an inch." She said, "This is the pencil was missing." And I said, and I saw you reach down on the little miniature carpet. She says, she says to me, "Yes, the pencil was under the little carpet." I said, "Oh, gee, why didn't I know that?" Okay? But the fact was she knows everything that's in these miniatures. And you know what? That was amazing. So that interaction with you is just really wonderful. I want you to know it's been a pleasure to work on this exhibition and to curate it and try to get into your mind and get into my mind what I'm feeling looking at it and make sure that I reach into your mind and just us working together, putting our heads together and making things happen. So I'm just thrilled. I'm thrilled. So tell me, what's going to happen now? Let's say this exhibition is going to be here for a while, and I already had a lot of calls. There are the people, because it is part of Instagram as well, and our social media, so I've gotten some calls from people that are out of state. So they're asking me how long it's going to be here. And I had visitors from out of state today who came from the ABBGA auction for us. And some of them said they would try to come back, but they want to make sure that they come back like for around June for the summer. So I said all that to say this, that, I am just really honored to have you here. It's a pleasure to know your work with you. I work with a lot of divas and divos in my business. And some of them are get a little difficult to work with, but you have been really, it's been a pleasure. You and I have a lot in common, and so that kind of worked really, really well with me because you understood my little things that I was doing all the time, so I would leave you alone to do your thing. So you're getting up. Marco, what's going on?
It's still updating.
Okay, so you know what we're gonna do? This is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna let you take over, because I know you have your own presentation that you would like. But I enjoy talking with you and sharing it with the audience. Right after that, if it's still updating, we want to take the tour. Okay? Let's do it. It's on you. Thank you, Tammie.
Thank you, Vida.
You're welcome.
Thank you. So thank you everyone for coming. Really, it means a lot that you would take time out of your weekend to share this with me and to look at the miniature work and to hear my words. And I actually want to be really brief, and I would rather spend more of the time having a conversation with you and answering any questions that you might have about the work. But in particular, I wanted to talk about the newest galleries, which you'll see. I mean, they're all together and they're not separated by what's old and what's new. But it occurred to me about a year ago that the galleries were all by Black men. And there are more Black male photographers than female, and I didn't realize that the bias that I was following was that I just kept creating these projects, well, particularly with Adrian, but also with other Black men. And one day, maybe late last summer, I thought, well, maybe I should look into whether or not, I mean, I know they exist, right? So I should look into partnerships with Black female photographers. And I thought, well, I'm gonna look on GOOGLE and see what they tell me I can find. And literally, I Googled Black female photographers, and the first thing that came up was 25 Black female photographers you should know. And I laughed. I'm like, well, Google's talking to me, so let me figure it out. And I went on and I read about these 25 photographers, and I eliminated probably half of them immediately based on preferences and just things that I knew weren't going to be what I wanted to create or have a partnership with. Got in touch with 10 of them. 7 of them were very interested, and ultimately ended up creating galleries with 3 of them. And the cool part of that was that the process was they were as excited to do the work as I was, and I didn't expect that. I kind of thought, not that I'd have to twist their arms, but miniatures have a way of really creating community. People love miniatures. The people that love them really love them. Some people like them. Some people, I don't know many people that don't like miniatures, is what I'm trying to say. So each of these photographers were really excited about having a project created that was their specific work. And they'd never seen that before, which was also cool for me. They're like, well, what is that? Like, what do you do? How do you do that? And are my photographs gonna be small? Are they gonna be big? What are you gonna do? So it became a relationship with each of these women. And Zoom calls and cell phone calls and lots of emails later, we created individual galleries for each of them that spoke to their preferences about the style, what size they wanted their photographs to be, and ultimately they gave me license and trusted me with their work because they said, we'll send you lots of photos, choose the ones that you love, and make us look good. And wow, you know, that meant everything to me. What a joy to have people trust you, because it's just miniatures, but frankly, I see it as a sacred trust. I see it as people giving me permission to put their work in a format that it wasn't in previously. I take that very seriously. So that's all of that to say, I don't want to just talk to you, I want to talk with you. So you heard a lot from Vida about me, about the miniatures, about these galleries, and I want to know if there's anything that you would like to ask. I am all keen to hear it and to answer it. So if anyone has any questions, I'm going to hand you the mic so that everyone can hear your questions, and then I'm going to answer. So who can I put on the spot for the first question? My friend Beth.
I noticed, through knowing you and looking at your miniatures, that there are never any people in them. Why?
That question, thank you, Beth. That question always comes up, but I promise she was not a plant. I didn't put her there, but the funny thing for me is, honestly, you are the people in my miniatures. there aren't figures because I want you to be on a journey in the miniature. And I think I'm very fortunate to be able to create something that I have a vision for, but everyone that experiences it themselves, their own way. They see things, they re-see things. Vita even said, you know, sometimes you want to sit in that chair. You want to walk around that corner. You want to be in that space, and that's what it's about. So, no, there are no figures or people in my miniatures because I want you to go on a journey where you're in the miniature yourself. Thank you. Anyone else? Genevieve.
Do you feel like that there's one specific thing that you ever take away or learn from each miniature?
I've never been asked that question. Thank you. My daughter Genevieve may have heard the question. Is there one specific thing that I take away from the miniatures? I think each project is its own. I did a presentation in my office, and my dear friend Stephanie said, "You have a favorite?" And I laughed. It's like saying, "Pick your favorite child." It's like they're all so unique and special. And I think about the process and the experience of each one and what it gave me, and as much as what I sort of put into it. And there's a wonderful reciprocity in miniatures for me. It's like a mental health. It's like a cleanse. It's like the best ice cream. It's like all of those things for me. It really makes me very happy. So I say yes, that there is one thing, but I couldn't say what that one thing is because it's specific to each project. I saw a hand over here.
My question is very simple. In your creative process, what is your favorite part? And then are there parts when you're creating a miniature that are hard? Like what's the most difficult part? And then, yeah, how do you handle that?
Thank you, Jen. That's a great question. My favorite part is the beginning, always, because to me that there's just always this potential, right? There's always what it's going to be and what it's going to develop into. And I don't have it, I really don't sketch very often. So literally it's having an idea and building. And making mistakes while I build. The final build is not often the very first build, but it's the process is I like to be 3D. I want to get my hands on it and start building it. So that's always my favorite part. The hardest part for me is that, and my daughter and I were talking about this many times in the past few months, I will take as much time as I'm given. I am not the person, I wasn't that person in design school, I'm not that person at work where I finish something way ahead of time and I'm like, okay, I'm done. I got lots of time. No, if you give me 12 months, 3 days, and 2 hours, I will take 12 months, 3 days, and 2 hours. It's just the way it is. And it's very frustrating, and I've tried to crack that, and like recently my daughter said, well, maybe you should work on that. I'm like, well, I've been trying for years. Clearly, it's built in. So I think the best part is the beginning, and the hardest part is as I come to the end, sort of knowing that I have a deadline and I've got to hit it. And I hit it every time, to be honest. I mean, I don't sleep, and things get a little crazy at home, but I have not missed a deadline. And both my own deadline, but also projects that I've done for other people, I've never missed a deadline, so that's really cool. But the best part is always the beginning. That's always the best part. Reed.
There are some things I've always wondered about these projects of yours, and I figured I would wait to ask you in public. So, one is, I know Adrian too, and so with work like that, I was wondering, how do you get the photos often don't shrink well, and when you have them in your galleries, they're at a very good resolution, they still look like Adrian's work, and so, first question is just how do you do that? The second one is, I've always just wondered how I can't cut paper straight to save my life. I can't, as my wife knows, I'm not very good at hanging things super straight. So just at that scale, how do you place things so carefully that it still looks like a real gallery? And I've always wondered how you do that too.
Those are great questions. The first one is there are amazing companies, a lot of them available digitally online, that will take a photograph and make it small for you. So that part's actually easy for me. It isn't, can I do it? It's which company will I use to do it, and will I be happy with the result? We Matter was very stressful for me, not just because it's high profile work, but because it's Adrian. And I think You always want to please your friends, right? And I thought the worst thing would be for people to look at the work and say they liked it, and Adrian to be like, no. And I actually had a moment of, I want you to look at the negatives and look at these pictures. It's like, Tammie, I don't have time. I'm like, no, I'm not gonna do it unless you can give me some feedback on the work. So I had sent him a couple of different, versions of it, and he was like, yeah, it looks great. So that part of it is just finding the right company to do the work. And then, frankly, sometimes not having a choice because I need it quickly and having to do it through Walgreens or through somebody that I torture about getting the colors right and about making 5 copies of the same picture that I slightly did something different to until I find the right one. Hanging up in the gallery, that's fun and crazy. It's like I make a line on each side, and I basically create an invisible line, and that's where I go to. And I think I got that from my dad, because I do measure, but I don't measure every single thing. And at the end, I go back and measure, and it's like never off by more than a 32nd of an inch, so it's pretty accurate. I do think that's honestly a gift from Dad. Yes, I hope that answered the question.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Hi, I'm not sure if this came out in your talk before, but do you ever walk into a space and like a lightning bolt, like, or a photographer's eyes, know that you want to create that space in miniature?
Oh gosh, yes. Yes, thank you. That has happened so many times, to be honest, and I think a project that I'm bummed that it's locked down. My kids know it's one of my favorite, most tedious projects, and it's a copyright thing, and I'm not allowed to share it. But this project was that for me. And it has worked both ways. It has worked that I've walked into a space and I thought this should be a miniature, I'm going to create it. And it's also worked the opposite way, where I think about, I want to create a miniature and I have to find an inspiration for what it will look like. But there have been at least 3 times I can think of that, like literally, like, oh my God, that's going to make an incredible miniature. More often than not, though, I like spaces that other people want to see. So I think about a lot, not just the space that I want to create, but the reason the galleries are wonderful is that I find that it's the best of 2 things, right? It's a gallery experience, which I think even people that don't necessarily love art, don't spend a lot of time in museums, there's something wonderful about an experience where you're looking at work, especially if you can interact with the work. But I think, again, miniatures are a magical thing. So if I can combine looking at someone's work in a space that is a fictitious small space, I think that that's like such a win. Yeah.
I've been trying to formulate this question, so help me if I need help, but an artist's own growth and journey is often reflected in their art. And I wonder, as you think about the pieces that you've made over so many years, do you see your journey in that? And today, this is hard stuff. Like, I mean, making the art is such a joy, but getting it out there, and it's such a push, it's such a hustle. What motivates you to persevere and to overcome? Where does your drive?
Thank you, Stephanie. I think a couple of things, to be honest, and one of them, it'll sound corny, but my kids. I always want them not to be afraid to try hard things. And like you said, I think creating art requires you to let go and at the same time completely engage, right? And I remember as a student in Parsons, I see some of my wonderful TPG co-workers here, and they heard this before, so forgive me, I'll repeat it, that you're taught at Parsons that art is hard, that a lot of people will not love your art, and even if they do, you might not be able to make a living with your art. So be prepared to starve, is what they tell us in our freshman year. They're trying to get you out. They're like, art is hard, be prepared to starve. If you're committed, you will get your best art education here. And luckily, 90% of us survived and we stayed. But I think it is hard to push. It is hard to take something that's precious and personal to you and has been part of your journey and put it out into the world and crush fingers and hope that people get it or like it or that they will want it. And when Vita talked about the way we met and me reaching out to her, I was blown away that she got back to me so quickly and that she was so excited about it. Because to be honest, people have given me a lot of love around the miniatures. I've gotten, oh, they're really great, oh, they're really cool, I really like them. But when someone says, I want it here, and the way she said it, I knew she meant it. I didn't know her yet, but I was like, okay, she's not just saying that. I was like, well, I want to come and meet you. Yes, come and meet me. Here's the days at work. When can you come in? And we moved it forward. And so it's always interesting, that moment of trust that you're doing work that is meaningful to you, but you also want to get that work out there and have it mean something to other people. And so for me, the journey has been starting with a passion that I knew was, I couldn't control it. It wasn't something that I was going to be able to lock down. I had made hundreds of projects that did not pay me a dime. You know, some people have a shoe fetish, or not fetish, but a shoe passion, or whatever it is that they spend their money on, and mine has been miniatures. And I've done it for a very long time, and I'm always working on a miniature, even when there's no audience for it yet. So that's my sort of crazy place that I go. But I always want to be able to put the work out there and have it well received. So I think about that now more than I used to, and maybe it's perhaps where I am in my life and in my stage of my career, that it's come full circle for me, that it started as my own, but now I'm giving it to and sharing with people, and I want it to be theirs. And I want people to go on a journey and enjoy it. And I want to highlight the work of these incredible photographers, because frankly, that's really what it's all about. It's in miniature, but it's their work. Thank you, that's a great question. Yes. Get close to video. Martha? Yes. 2 more questions, I'll be right there. Thank you.
I just wanted to find out, I have not seen much of your work. I'm from Chicago. I'm so excited to hear about your work and what you did from Chicago also. Just want to find out, as you're doing your work, does the perfection, are you a perfectionist? The first question wasn't, are you a perfectionist? It looks like you might be a perfectionist. And how does it help you, and how does it deter you? Because if you're a perfectionist, it has to be this way only, right? If it doesn't come this way, then you have to keep doing it.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I think, and thank you for the compliments, and I'd love to go to Chicago. I haven't been since I was a teenager. Yes, the perfectionism is real, and it is. It's kind of a double-edged, because it's great. It's what helps me create the work, but it also kind of gets me in my head in a way that's not healthy. And there are at least 7 people in this room that have told me, no one knows. People only know what you present. They don't know the journey that you were on in your head. They don't know what's not in the room. They don't know that slipper should, like, they don't know any of that stuff, but I will obsess about it. And I, sometimes when these galleries are in the works, I will put things up on walls, but temporarily with like tacky sticks so that I can take them down. And I'll leave them up for a day and go back. And sometimes I'll ask for input. My daughter, I'm like, well, what do you think of that one there? I'm going to move that. But more often than not, it's a process that I have to work through to sort of let go, because I could just, I go down a rabbit hole with it. It's kind of scary. It's fun, but it's a little intense. Yeah. Is it? Well.
All your art that I've seen is like shops and stores and inside scenarios. Have you ever done like nature scenarios, like outside with like trees, grass, and that kind of thing?
Yes. Thank you. Great question, and the answer is yes. And I have recently thought about pulling some of that stuff out, and Vita once said, where do you keep it all? I'm like, yeah. I know. It's in sheds, it's in garages, it's in other people's houses and their garages. Yes, so I have done a few scenes, and it's tricky, Will, because sometimes I'll put an outdoor scene in glass, because I don't want it to get dusty, right? I want it to be contained, even though it's outdoors. But I'm going to dig up some stuff, and I'll send it to your dad so he can share it with you. And I will actually eventually get that stuff out there again, too. I think we're ready for the video.
Okay,
Thank you so much for all your questions, everyone. I love
them. Before we show the video, my graphic artist, and also he is on the board, the art commissioner board, and he's a curator as well. He's in the audience, and his experience and my experience with Tammie has been totally amazing. Eric Murphy, stand up. There he is right here. So here we go. You need the mic. You might
to the world right now. As good fortune would have it, Tammie is friends with one of the most recognized, accomplished, and respected young Black photographers of the day. So that's where she started, with Adrian Octavius Walker's We Matter. And as the work pulled her in and moved her forward, she unexpectedly found herself wanting first and foremost to focus on the telling of the story of Black people, who we are in motion and in stillness, our beauty, our joy, our faith, and our pain, but most of all, our wonderfully unique faces.
thank you for queuing up the video, Martha. Thanks for your patience with that. So, but you're ready. I don't think we'll all fit in there at one time, but we sort of start out from the outside, and let's tour the gallery.